Hey everyone, Ida from P2P here, and welcome back for Headline Mondays. So what happened last week? Well, it was a bye week for us ahead of the Japanese GP, but there's still some things happening, and even some silly season stuff, or rumors at least. So let's get started. So on one hand, we have Fernando saying that he wants his contract situation sewn up as soon as possible, ideally by the summer, but he understands that he needs to see what the Aston Martin car will bring still, like in terms of upgrades and stuff like that. Until then, to understand whether he should re-sign with them, look for another team, etc. So that's very interesting because earlier in the season / late last year, he was very much pro Aston. And then we have Williams. Oh, Williams, you can't seem to catch a break. If you guys saw the race yesterday, or I mean the whole lead up to the race yesterday, they couldn't catch a break on the track, and actually James Vowles, the team principal, spoke out on that. So what did he say? Well, he said that Alex's Australia crash will cost about $500,000, and it will, due to cost cap regulations and stuff, come out of the development fund, meaning that money was earmarked for upgrades throughout the season that now sadly cannot be completed. And I wonder what Alex's crash yesterday will cost and how that will play into everything. Because he also said that they do not have a second chassis, at least until Miami. So Alex crashed his car again this weekend, which was actually Logan's intact chassis from Australia. And now they have 2 damaged chassis, and rumor has it they might not be able to repair the damaged one, the truly damaged one, shall we say, for China in 2 weeks, but we'll see what happens there. So then we move on to AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri, Lawrence Mekies, the new team principal, said that the midfield battle will be brutal as the entire field is only separated by a few tenths. Like, they're so on top of each other in terms of timing this season that it is insane. I mean, even at the front, they're very on top of each other. Like, everyone thought the gap to the Red Bulls from the Ferraris and the Mercedes would be bigger when it's actually not that much. So, brutal field this year. And then on the note of RB, Yuki said that him not ranting on the radio this season as much as in previous years is actually more so of a struggle for him than the G-forces during a race, apparently, which is just so precious, honestly. And also, knowing Yuki and having watched his career in F1, it's kind of understandable because that boy used to curse up a storm 24/7. So let's move on to Mercedes. Mercedes are planning actually to have Kimi Antonelli, the F2 driver for Prema, and the one that is basically being heralded as one of the next big things, next to the likes of Oli Berman, Liam Lawson, etc. They're actually gonna have him run the W12 in Austria on April 16th. So in 9 days, or 8 days. I can't math right now. And then Lewis, on the note of Mercedes, said, because there have been rumors swirling that Seb Vettel, who retired 2 years ago, might be making a comeback to fill Lewis's empty Mercedes seat for 2025. And Lewis actually stoked those flames ever so slightly by saying that bringing Seb back would be an amazing option and he would very much welcome it. I mean, it makes sense that he said that because they're known friends and everything, and they've always respected each other, even though they've clashed a lot on track as well. On the note of Seb, though, he did an interview last week, a TV interview, and where he was asked about the Horner allegations, because there's still some rumblings there. And he said that basically Red Bull, GmbH, the parent company, needs to be more transparent because that's the only way he could form an opinion on the matter. Meaning he doesn't have all the facts, he doesn't want to speak on it. And honestly, hearing him say that compared to what some of the current drivers said when asked about this like a few weeks back, it just makes me miss Seb, his reaction. So kind of have my fingers crossed for a Mercedes comeback. I mean, they brought one German back out of retirement when they first joined the grid, so why not now? But anyway, from my delusions to some FIA and F1 news in general. So, F1 technical director Pat Simmons says that the 2026 regulations will take a stronger emphasis on the driver than the car. Because remember, 2026 is when a whole host of new regulations come into play, which his statement I take as it will basically mean that they will likely restrict the car a bit more, or what the car can do in terms of like customizations and stuff, so that driver skill will once again be at the forefront. But that's just my interpretation of that statement, so we'll see what actually happens. Plus, 2026 is still over 1.5 years away, so that might even change. Who knows? And then we have some tire news, because Pirelli wants to once again talk to the FIA and the F1 teams regarding the revised wet tire regulations for this year because of the, dare I say, messy free practice 2 that just happened this past weekend in Japan. Because in case you guys didn't watch free practice, it basically, the track was wet, but not wet enough for the wet tires, but also not dry enough for the intermediate tires. So basically, that combination of factors, as well as that there wasn't rain forecast for the race, made teams very hesitant to go out on track because they thought they were either not going to perform well on the tires they had, or actually more so, they also said it was not going to be a representative session. But Pirelli, with their statement about tire regulations, or wet tire regulations, more so was referring to the former reason why teams didn't go out. And honestly, I understand, because yes, wet tires might not be like the best tire for actual racing, but they're necessary when it is wet, because if you use the wrong tire compound on a wet track, it just becomes dangerous. I mean, look at Suzuka 2014, look at Suzuka 2022, when we had a lot of accidents or near accidents because of wet track conditions. Hope you guys enjoyed this overview. Sorry for blabbering for more than 10 minutes, and see you guys next week. Bye.